Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. It's an honor to be back here with such a great people, and thank you, IOC committee. So let's begin. These are the topics that I would like to share with you. Especially, I would like to highlight the NOM 008 -2002 and especially the multiple entry and some things about cabotage. Okay, this is Toluca, the so-called Mexican theater borough. And this is something that happened recently in Toluca, and first of all, I would like to say that self-handling is not a best practice. This is something that happened at the General Aviation Terminal in Toluca when the jet blast, of course not a full thrust vehicle, a pickup, was close to the aircraft, and that's what caused, hurting the windshield of the pickup. And since then, fortunately, the Ports Authority, in this case, the Operations Center, Operations Director from Toluca, start implementing certain things that, of course, are on the back office, of the operation. But make sure that when you are going to Toluca International, in and out, make sure you have enough line technicians and personnel. Otherwise, they can find you and take you to the north remote platform, to the north of the runway, or just even on departure. If your handler or FBO is not appointing permission where to do the CI crew process, either arrival or departure, then you can have a delay, and that's something that makes sure. Of course, your handler is aware what to accomplish, but if you don't see people, enough line technicians and the electros and the dog, raise hell on your handler, on your FBO, because you want to avoid any delays. Random inspections by our dearest federal police still happening in Toluca on a random basis, so be aware of that. Be aware that if you are coming from long legs and you have on board your flyaway kit, tell your handler so you will smooth things and you won't avoid any issues with customs. There was a gossip going on among certain FBOs in Toluca that a CIQ process within their facilities will start happening. This is something, honestly, that we don't see from occurring in a short time. I mean, even the current president of Mexico sold the government official aircraft. So you think they will benefit our community by allowing CIQ process at the FBO? I don't think so. And the last point on this slide has to do also with safety. So be aware that your handler is requesting the right spot for embarking and disembarking. This is Loreto in the Baja Peninsula. We'll just share a little bit on airport updates. In the following 18 months, they want to build an executive terminal in Loreto in the Baja Peninsula. It's a really nice place to watch, whale watching, scuba diving, you name it, fishing. And on the left side, you'll see the new Customs and Immigration Office, which is tiny, but it's nice and clean. And having an executive terminal, especially during the hot weather, that will help us a lot. The world famous San Jose del Cabo, the commercial one. I went there back in November before Thanksgiving and see what was going on. Not too much, but in regards to safety, as you can see, I highlighted a path that caused by your aircraft. And why is that happening? It's because on the other side of the yellow line, they park aircraft during a high season that runs between Thanksgiving and February, March. So you need wingmen. Otherwise, you're going to have a severe issue. It gets really, really crowded. I will say that going to operating for extension overtime, tell your passengers that is going to be until 22:30, even though they will authorize you until 23:30. But you know, always passengers are always late, so be aware of that. Line technicians, self-handling in Los Cabos is not a good practice, even though there is nothing written in the airport's law and its regulation that you cannot do self-handling. But you know, there are some lack of certain dispositions. So that's what you want to avoid. Have enough line techs and wingmen, please. Well, to be entitled to submit your flight plan, you need to have a licensed dispatcher with current training. So rely on experts, on professionals, and not on the pirates. That hurts, really. I would like to do some updates in two great airports located at my brotherhoods from Monterrey, Nuevo León. The first one, Monterrey Mariano Escobedo, is a commercial one. There is only one FPO there, with good facilities, state of the art, run and operated by ICCS. Could be kind of, the ramp is neat and clean, it's not too big, but sometimes they will use the extension of the general aviation ramp to accommodate aircraft. The other one, I don't know, would you raise your hands, the ones that have been to Del Norte Airport, Mike Alpha November? No? Well, that's another alternative that you want to consider. It's an airport that was built in 1942 by American Airlines, when back in those days, in early 40s, we didn't have the Mexico City airport was not international, so American Airlines they built this airport Del Norte, you know, to connect with Mexico City. And some of the things that you will find between these two: ask for a quote for your service provider, see what better accommodates. Del Norte is as well very well connected with the financial district and the business district from Monterrey. So just do your math and you do your comparison. Both are great locations, and there is something that I learned yesterday. You have these two terms, competition and cooperation. But here in Silicon Valley, they have this word called competition. That means, we're not fighting, so this is something that you can consider. ICCS is the only one on the airfield in Monterrey Mariano, but in the other way, in the other side of the coin, you have Del Norte, where you have other options. So yes, we compete, but we cooperate as well. Competition. And there was some slander going on against Del Norte that it is not secure, it's not safe. It's right beside an Army Air Force base. Come on, guys. Check it out. I went there as well back in November. It's really nice. As Mariano. ICCS FPO. This is something that you want to consider for when you are developing and submitting your flight plans, the way you want to fly. Basically, RMP equals GPS. Toluca is meeting ADSB, and as well Merida, Mike Delta, and Monterrey. That's Mariano, Triple Mike Yankee. So I'm sure, I hope Guy shows up, because I don't know this guy really. Who are you, man? Maybe Guy can show up and help me out a little bit with this. This is something that applies for commercial non-schedule. And even though that was released, this NOM stands for Norma Oficial Mexicana, Mexican Official Regulation. Even though it was issued 2002, of course, due to all the improvements and advances in technology, they decided to put it into effect. So those of you that fly into Mexico as commercial non-schedule, either as 135 or 121, and you have already an indefinite blanket permit, make sure your director of maintenance states in writing that each and every of your aircraft comes with this equipment. And going to the Airborne Collision Avoidance System, the TCAS, you can fly into Mexico with version 7.0. And this is something that has been discussing on the airmail. So those of you that haven't signed yet to the airmail, NBAA airmail, for either for S&D and aviation managers, is really worldwide, because the ones that are making the magic and the recommendations are the aviators, are you, ladies and gentlemen. So I encourage you to sign to the NBAA airmail. This is something that we've been discussing for the past weeks. Also, another topic that was brought to our attention on the NBAA airmail, the MED certificate is crystal clear. Basically, in Mexico, we are taking ICAO and FAA. So, well, I mean, we're not lawmakers. It's international practices. Same here. Check it out. And this has to do, of course, when we are submitting, indefinite blanket permit for commercial non-schedule, either 121 or 135, also doing the multiple entry authorizations for those of you flying under FAR Part 91 rules and FAR Part 91K. So, of course, we need your MED certificates and licenses, so be aware of that, please. A NOTAM that has been in effect when I was a young pro, a while ago. Basically remains the same, coming from Central, South America, and the Caribbean, even the Bermuda, either flying as a 135, 121, 91, 91K. If you're going to Mexico, you need to clear customs and immigration depending on your route, either a Cozumel, which has better infrastructure, or Tapachula, where you no longer need to stop at the Navy hangar, where our dear Mexican armed forces, pray God, they will inspect, and then you will reposition to customs and immigration. So no need to stop at the Navy hangar anymore. And this is something that has been happening for a while. Who can bypass this? Only Mexican national private operators. Well, we pray the Lord that this will change, at least for 91s. It is outrageous. We have seen customers flying 91 that they have business in Cancun, and they need to stop in Cozumel, right in front. Come on. It's outrageous. But we will prevail, let me tell you. We will prevail. Cabotage. And they reinforce on our civil aviation law. And I want to bring cabotage because this is very painful. Those of you flying 135, ferry to pick up passengers that were not brought in the first leg, yes you can, yes you may. It's not illegal, it's not cabotage, it's the damn corruption that affects us. So tell your handler, tell your ISP, your service provider, to advocate on your behalf. I'm sick and tired of the guy in Cancun. He's bleeding, it's affecting, and we need to stop that. At least for the future of our children or my grandchildren. But I'm sick and tired. I ask you to tell your, and even though that most of you said you cannot, the civil aviation regulation cannot be on top of the civil aviation law. It's the pyramid. A regulation cannot contradict what really states in the civil aviation law. So it's something that you can. The problem is what bleeds our world. And I already mentioned that. So let's see if the new president will stop that. You know, I have a huge candle lighted in my home. Multiple entry authorizations. Basically, your service provider are submitting, airworthiness, aircraft registration, insurance policies, and of course, med certificates and pilot licenses. But let's see, there is a change on flight crew. Well, that multiple entry will be invalid, and then you need to submit either a new one for multiple entry or a single event, unless you can prove to the Mexican CIA through your service provider, your FBO, your handler, that it was due to flight duty, as it says here. Even though this is not written in the civil aviation law or its ruling, it's like a backup against those crooks like the one in Cancun. Prove to the civil aviation authority that you are private. Let's see if you are making so many changes, right? Well, no need to update it. Even though you may carry a multiple entry authorization for your 91 operations, that of course you are securing either at the end of the year, that of course will be enforced through December of the 31st, have this handy. It's just fill it out. And of course, if you change it and you are updating the itinerary, it doesn't matter. They will recognize and it will be valid. And also, a recommended practice. Let's see if you are in Cancun and your multiple entry will expire while you're there, because you're going to be leaving, you're going to be back, you're going to be flying from Cancun to Teterboro on the 3rd. Well, okay, act in advance, be proactive, tell your handler to secure a single event, even though that will be invalid and expire while you are on Mexican soil. Get a single event or a new multiple entry to avoid any headaches. This is something that sometimes there is a misunderstanding talking about fuel release or fuel request. The document on the left side, if your handler presented to the fuel truck, either from the fuel truck at the FBO in Toluca or at the ASA fuel truck, that's not valid. The one you need to present is the one on the right with the ASA logo on the top, and that's something that you will be seeing in the following months and years, that the Jet A fuel business in Mexico is going to be a game changer, because ASA is not going to be the monopoly anymore. Certain items that as we speak you will be finding in your fuel ticket, because of the energy reform that the former president did to the Constitution of Mexico, will be storage. So there will be private entities using as a fuel farm to storage their product. So now you will be paying these new items shown on your fuel ticket as it appears in the image in the right in middle. So check your fuel provider about that and ask them to explain you in detail. Who's the president of Mexico? Ding, ding, ding. Yes, yes, gracias. The other one is a former singer, Juan Gabriel. It's like the Garth Brooks of Mexico. I pass my word to Juan.